It's funny, sorry. Just leave it in. Sorry. One sec, that's boring now. We should leave these in as bloopers. I'm just boring.
Yeah. What is with us today?
I'm just bored of myself. Right, do continue. I've got it all out now.
Okay, good. Welcome to another episode of The Good, the Bad and the Fixable.
I'm sorry, that was me.
That was Leanne.
Right, okay.
You're not normally like this. I need to not look at Matt. It's Matt's face when he starts. He's all like giggly.
Right, I'm just going to look.
I'm just going to look at the
centre.
website. I'm just going to look at the website.
Yeah. Welcome to The Good, the Bad and the Fixable. This is our video series where our UX and UI designers from Radiant review and critique e-commerce websites. I'm here with my colleagues Leanne and April. Hello both.
Hello.
Hey.
You okay?
All good?
Yes. Good, thank you.
Good, thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to be looking at Blundstone, which is an Australian boot company, kind of a heritage brand, been going since 1870. Not on the internet, I don't think their website is that old, but we'll take a look and see what you think is good and what you think could be improved upon. So, Leanne, if you want to take it away and share the screen, let's have a look. See what we've got.
There we go.
Amazing.
So, if we take a tour of the website and see what we come up with. So, if we start with the navigation, what are your thoughts on that? Let's have a look.
I think the first thing that perhaps comes to mind is the global notifications banner. So that top bar there, typically it's where you put like messaging of free delivery or just any sort of messaging that you might want to kind of give to your users. Personally, I would say, and I don't know if you agree, Leanne, that this is a little bit too similar to the main navigation. I think what we would probably recommend is having it in a different colour, so perhaps the dark blue with the white writing. That way it stands out from the navigation, you know it's separate. Although they don't have to be placed together. Sometimes you see them below the hero banner. But I think at the minute it's just a little bit conjoined.
Yeah, when you first mentioned it, it took me a few seconds to spot it, actually. It's kind of hidden, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I think it's because the background and the font are all the same. It's the same in terms of hierarchy. There's no differentiate that out.
Differentiation.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's just a designer, guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so what happens if you open it up and...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of boot. Many boots. What do you think? It's quite kind of takes over the whole screen. Is that kind of standard in e-com, or is that quite overwhelming? What do you think?
First of all, I think it's quite a good nav in terms of how much content it gives the user. There is a lot of product on there, so they're not sort of lacking in that department. I just think maybe the shop by series, there's quite a lot to take in and digest. For instance, the boots, if you are a new user, they all look quite similar. Maybe if they highlighted the top 8 popular shoes, or maybe their most shoppable of shoes, that may be a bit more easy to digest.
I just want to caveat that Leanne and I did have a quick look at this site just before joining the call. We obviously don't know the products and product structure, so this may be done for a specific... What I'm getting from how we've reviewed the products and everything is that these images they're different types of boots. It's like the different style. So these are all their different styles. I think what's difficult when you shop as a user, and this comes into, I guess, the user journey and also customer journey, is like, for example, classics and lug boots. They look different. But what is the main difference other than the style? I wouldn't really put shop by style in the navigation. I would leave that to a PLP, so the listing page. Here, you want to make it intrinsically clear to a user if you want a boot for walking outdoors. Here's your walking boots. Here are your everyday boots. Here are your dress boots. Here are your heeled boots. I feel like that's how it should be categorized, which might then in turn minimize how many boots appear.
That makes sense. So more kind of the purpose of the boot rather than the series.
The look,
look,
rather than how it looks.
Okay.
I think in terms of like the nav itself, you mentioned about how big it is. The one thing that they have done really well is you can still tap the outside of the nav to close it. So if you move your mouse away, you can still get off. And that they've done well, considering it's a big nav.
Yeah, you're not sort of stuck in that screen. I think another thing that sort of threw me as well was having women and men in the top navigation.
Oh, right, what do you mean?
I think because the boots look so similar, and with the having so many categories, I just assumed it was a shop all rather than differentiated the women's to the men's.
You know what it is? It's because, and I'm guessing they've done this for SEO purposes, when you hover on women's, you've got all of the same kind of series as men's, but they've got women's series. It makes you think that that's shop all, and I'm assuming they've done it because it's a search term, women's series, and then there's women's high top boots. They've done that based off SEO. It's probably like highly searched for, but I think that's what throws you off is in this category, you think that it's all boots. But I think if they were to address how you shop that section, like we said, shop by perhaps occasion, that would be corrected.
I was just going to say, I think another quick win could be maybe adding like a shop all link so it's a bit more visible. Because at the moment you can click on women or men and you are directed to the PLP. But if you're not familiar with that type of functionality, I think a shop all link would be quite beneficial.
Yeah. I think perhaps one final thing to mention on the nav in terms of usability is if you go to shop by type, there's no hover effect for each of these links. So they are actually clickable, but it doesn't really indicate. It should be fairly straightforward to a user, but it's just standard practice to have a hover effect on any clickable element. So I think that's the final thing to mention to the navigation.
Let's say just quickly, that logo at the top.
We talked about this. I think logos are there because you recognise them to a brand. Like the Nike logo, you know it's Nike. You know the tick from anywhere, and that's typically the main function of a logo is it's recognisable to your brand. I think perhaps if we were to take this on as a project, for example, we'd want to include some sort of perhaps branding uplift piece, because in this instance, the logo looks a little bit disjointed. The text underneath the logo itself, I don't know what that says, Tasmania, Australia.
Yeah, it's a bit small, isn't it?
I think you could get rid of that, make it a transparent background and just have the Blundstone with the triangle, perhaps all in one colour, like the dark blue. Logos shouldn't really change drastically, but they can evolve. And I think that perhaps could happen in this case just to make it a bit more seamless in that banner, in that nav.
Yeah, I agree. I think then it wouldn't fight for attention with the basket section on the right.
Yeah, agreed.
And then very quickly, before we move on and review the rest of the homepage, how does the search functionality work there?
We did have another look at this as well. So if we just type in boots, it does give you quite a nice detailed search. However, we did mention that it would be nice to maybe see sort of recommended products from opening the search.
Or like trending products. You can get this with, I think, like a plugin with Shopify stores. I don't think we have to actually build that custom. I think we use, what is it, Clevo? Is that the search app?
For like the smart search.
Yeah, you can just install that in on your website and it does it all for you. I think there's some customization that you can. And it's really clever in terms of like AI. It will tell you what the trending products are or most search products and stuff like that.
Okay. All right, that's good. So should we move on now and have a look, just carve down the rest of the homepage and see what you can pull out of that?
Yeah. So we did again have a brief look over the homepage. And one of the things we wanted to mention was the consistency with the components, just referring to sort of the carousel arrows. You've got the carousel indicators here. They're just maybe on the larger side.
They're really large and in charge.
They are.
The carousels, The dots I think are fine. Typically what we would say with a carousel is, if you're going to have a carousel, I personally don't use carousels as hero images because users don't really tend to spend too much time in that hero section anyway. So, but what I would say is if you are going to have it, we typically recommend that it auto scrolls after a few seconds so users know that it's scrollable, and then it pauses on hover. Like if you actively pause your mouse on the hero, it would stop scrolling.
So is this one static?
This one's static. Yeah. You have to use the arrows to control.
Okay.
That's typically how we suggest the functionality and the UX of a carousel. But again, they're a little bit dated now. We don't tend to use them anymore just because the content is hidden away. We want to kind of put all of that information in front of the user, perhaps further down the page, and just keep that main section for like Black Friday offers, or we've got a sale, or this is a new product.
Makes sense. You know? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So then talking about moving down further down the page, what have we got there? Then it moves into the categories.
The category blocks, yeah.
So this is kind of replicating what was in the top nav, I suppose. Quite high level. What would you recommend with that?
I would say remove men and women and have something more beneficial. It could be new in, or maybe a new collection that they're going to be bringing in.
Or like if you were to change the structure of the nav where it's shop by occasion or shop by season, like have more specific collection blocks like work boots, women's, or like heeled boots or dress boots, whatever their series were, we'd recommend that instead, because this is just a duplicate of what they've got in the nav.
Yeah. They've already explored the navigation, so they know a breakdown roughly of what the products are. They don't need it again displayed on the homepage.
Yeah, this is just a bit too generic. I think something more specific would be better.
Well, these are actually take you to a collection page.
Okay.
So they're still collection blocks.
They are, yeah. They're almost there in terms of sort of the imagery, and I can see what they want to do with the copy. But I think we just need some sort of call to action in there, maybe titles reworded slightly just to allow the user to know where they're getting directed.
Yeah, like you say, more direct, tougher than they need to be. I'm assuming that's like work boots. So just say work boots, like the button could actually say shop work boots. At the minute, we don't actually know that those are blocks. I initially thought they were like blog posts, just with the amount of wording that was on there. I think if you had the button shop the specific series, as they call them, I think that would be a bit easier to comprehend. Another thing that I would also say, which I don't think we discussed before, Leanne, is the actual size of these blocks. They might be the correct ratio, but they're different to the collection blocks above. So again, that inconsistency.
And these 3 blocks do take up the entire viewport. You can't see any content above or below.
Yeah, because it's gone into that kind of portrait mode. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and then you've got the bestsellers. So a bit more kind of what April was referring to earlier.
It is, yeah, but we, again, with how heavy the content is, we would recommend potentially putting this just below the hero, and then we could introduce the different collections below that, because again, users would have already narrowed down their search, or they've already explored the navigation.
Yeah.
We don't want to sort of direct them into more collections or categories straight away. We want to sort of show that product.
Okay.
And this is like a teaser, like, these are like some of the products that we do, rather than like a full like category collection blog. This is a little bit more like these are our actual products. I think in terms of how they laid this out, I do actually like the tabular format. So the women's, the men's, and the kids. I think that's really nice. I think it's a little small. But I think the main thing that Leanne and I had discussed is the actual product cards themselves. They're missing some detail and perhaps some UI elements that would, I guess, elevate them and just make them a little bit more user-friendly.
Kind of thing, stuff to help sell them.
So we mentioned sort of potentially a secondary hover, and this could be more of a lifestyle shot. So it could be sort of someone in action wearing the boots. So in that specific scenery or sort of like
work boots, show them at work. Outdoor boots, show them in a forest. Dress boots, show them at an event with like tailored trousers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. bit
So
more
you
in
can
context.
see, in context.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get a lot more information. And one thing I'd like to mention as well, which I don't think I mentioned previous April, was it might be nice to have some sort of like badge on there that indicates
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
like the category. So whether they're original or classic.
Yeah. So from what series they're from. Because at the minute, I think they use the 510, the numbers as their series. I don't know if that's correct, actually. I think that's like the actual product indicator. It's difficult to try to comprehend how they structure their products and variations and stuff, and we're still not quite decided on that. But I agree. I think some sort of badge or tag for the collection that it resides in, or like a new in tag. And that's more for repeat users, isn't it? Like users that are coming back to the site, if they know they want a dress shoe or a dress boot, they can quickly identify.
Yeah. Okay, nice. So then you've got a little bit of about the company.
Yeah, I think just overall, I think they've got quite important pieces or content blocks of information, but I think the one thing that really lacks is that pizzazz, like that unique styling to Blundstone. I think they've obviously got a lot of heritage behind this brand, the location of the brand. I think what would be really nice is to just really elevate the website and give it something very unique to them. At the minute, it just looks like a bit of a off-the-shelf type website. And I think because their products are so lovely, you should really bring that through to the rest of the platform.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, very quickly before we move on to the collection page, do you want to have a quick scan of the footer and see what's good there and what could be improved?
We had a quick look at this as well, and to be honest, we didn't have a lot to say around the footer. It is quite well structured to a point. One of the main things we picked up on was sort of the two columns. So obviously that second column is quite hefty in terms of links. So potentially just splitting that out so it's maybe 3 columns rather than 2. And again, that'll be nice balance, and it'll between all the elements on there.
All right then, so let's go through to the next step of the journey. If we go to the collection page, just pick one. What would you like to look at? Originals.
Original.
Okay.
So I think the main thing here for us was, again, the UI. I think they've hit navigation, so they've got the breadcrumbs in the top left. They've got written copy for SEO. You can clearly see the title. I like the fact that they've got 3 products in a row. It means that the products are a little bit bigger and you can see exactly what they are. So I think the first thing to note is perhaps the filter. Horizontal filter is absolutely fine. We recommend horizontal filters laid out like this for fewer filtering options. If you've got lots of filtering options, we'd recommend it in a vertical, just because you've got more space and you can hide it away. In terms of the UX of this filter, it works really well. So you're able to click multiple filter types within the same filtering category, and it automatically changes the results on the page. So the UX of the filter works really well. I think we just discussed that the UI of it could just be a little bit more uplifted, a little bit more noticeable, perhaps left aligned. You could even have some additional features such as changing how many products are in view. So 3 per row or 4 per row. Might be nice to have a sorting option as well. And I think the final thing I would say is having the number of products within this collection. Just, again, more of a basic UX thing there.
I looked over it earlier. It doesn't really maybe apply to the originals or the specific collections, but if someone came from, say, women in general and they were on this overall collection page, it might be nice to have some sort of like quick links along the top. They could have this like either in sort of like buttons, or what might be nice is like illustrations of the boots, so the different types, so users can again narrow down their options, but it's a bit more visual.
The differentiation between each series. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so then if we click through from the collection to product.
Actually, can we just mention one final thing on that PLP?
What's your April?
You're a bit
Yes.
eager there, Matt.
Oh, was I? Was it
it's
more...
just-
Sorry.
Yeah, it's just the pagination at the bottom. They've got, so the difference between the two, typical pagination that we call standard pagination is the one at the bottom, so with the numbers. It's typically classed as bad UX because, for example, you've got numbers 1, 2, 3, and 9. What if I want to view page 5? I have to go to 3 and then go to 5. So it's really bad user experience. However, it's great for SEO. Google favours this type of pagination over, for example, a load more, where you load the products in. Pagination, that's also there as well. So I think if you're going to favour SEO, you choose pagination. If you want to favour the user experience, you choose the load more or show more in this instance. With the pagination...
So they've got both for the best of both worlds, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but just pick one or the other. It's confusing.
Yeah.
They're actually hindering the user experience by having the two. You can't hide content on a website and still favour Google. Like, you have to make sure that everything is shown. I think it just depends. Just pick one or the other. Either favour SEO or favour user experience. Don't try and please both. It's very difficult to choose between the two, but I think it depends on the main goal of what you're trying to achieve. Just want to caveat that with, if you've got a massive product structure, it might be difficult with the pagination. It might be actually probably better with the load more, because you haven't got to kind of go through all the numbers, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Anything else to add on that, Leanne, before we move to the product?
Yes, actually, one thing I would like to say is, just from looking at the product grid, maybe some lifestyle imagery or call outs within the grid would be nice. Again, just seeing the sort of the boot in action brings a bit...
Or like an ad spot. Like an ad spot, like something that takes up perhaps one of those product cards. That's like, oh, look at this series, or look at this collection. Like, it's...
Did we see that when we reviewed the Lick website? Is that what they had?
Yes, perfect example. Well done, Matt.
Yeah, well,
yes.
refer our viewers back to the Lick episode so they can see what you mean by that.
Cool. I'll take us through to a product page.
Okay.
I was going to say, so my eye is immediately drawn to the product carousel, mainly because the products, the arrows are back, but also the thumbnails are sat directly below. And I just feel like a nice balance would be to have them sat up on the left, so that you can make use of sort of the shot of the shoe on its own.
You'd have them particularly to the left of the big boot. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
What happens if you click an arrow? And then it puts it up in the main image. I see. Can you click on the little images and they pop up into the...
You can.
Oh.
I'll be honest, I would just say, let's redesign this. Like, if we had an opportunity to work with Blundstone, it would be a complete redesign. I think they've got all of the content that they need. They've done well with the content, but I think just the UI, again, like I mentioned with the homepage, just uplifting it a little bit. Like Leanne said, having that thumbnail, the thumbnails vertically aren't left aligned. Some of the products have lifestyle imagery, but they're a 3:4 ratio or a 4:3 ratio in the image gallery. We'd normally recommend square. So just kind of little changes here and there.
And I think, again, what would be nice to see in the main product gallery is, within the navigation, they break things down. So they've got all the different shoes, which you can see. When it gets to the PDP, I feel like they're not so much lacking the information, it is there, but maybe more of a visual. So in the product gallery, like, it would be nice to see sort of a close-up of the stitching, of the material or the colour.
We have got the zoom feature, but I agree, imagery, it'd be nice just to see an isolated shot of these specific features, because you might miss the zoom, people might not use it, but the zoom feature works well.
Yeah, it is nice.
Well, I like the lime green CTA. You know me, I always like a bit of lime green.
You need to stay away from lime green, you do.
So if they brought the CTA, maybe... I don't know if it's just where it's sat currently to the right of the quantity, or if it's
Spacing's just off.
Yeah.
It does look a bit unusual, yeah.
Like the variant select, you know what I would do? See the variants for the sizing. You've got that in a drop down. I'd list, okay, there's a lot of variants there. I would see how it would look with all of those listed out as buttons. So you haven't got to use drop down. That could be an option. I'd also move that content that they've got below the image gallery in that tabular format. I'd put that in accordion in that white space, perhaps. You see that white space there, like underneath the bisection? It depends on how much room. You'd have to really play around, because you might want to have like a scrolling element where you scroll through the content on the right-hand side, keep the image gallery static. There's lots of opportunities to redesign this and create a really amazing and enjoyable user experience.
Yeah, and it is just worth noting that it is recommended potentially to try and not have a tabbed feature when it comes to sort of the description of the product, because again, things could get missed. Users could sort of miss delivery or fit in size if they're mainly focused on the description of things. So again, maybe having it in that accordion style would be a bit more beneficial.
you know what though? Things like the fit and size, I didn't notice that. That's actually really nice. Like you should just pull that out as content. Don't hide that away. That's to me quite intrinsic information to how I would shop. Because when you buy boots, particularly from like bespoke brands, like the foot size is always different. Like they don't always fit the same every time, like for every brand. I just that type of information your users need, like don't hide that away, make it a feature.
Do you know what could be nice? I've not seen any boot or shoe related companies do it, but I've seen a bunch of clothing websites where they've put a little badge on the product card and it indicates like the size or
Fit small. Or like this fits a bit bigger than normal. This fits small. Or like, yeah, like true to size, that's it.
yeah, I think that could be nice. And then that again can link to this section if they want to see more detail.
So then finally, let's take a look at the cart.
Hold on.
Sorry.
Oh, actually, no, we did say that you were supposed to move us along. But can we just really quickly address the rest of this real quick? Sorry, Matt.
April's gone rogue. April's gone rogue.
I've gone rogue.
I'm meant to be in charge of this recording. But no, go on.
Just quickly with the rest of the content, the only thing that I would say is, again, these look like blog posts. They don't look like particular features. It's just the styling of the rest of the page. The content is there, but I think how it's been designed could be a bit more of a journey, like something interesting for a user. I'm done.
It was a good point. Well made.
Yeah, again, because it just looks like duplication of imagery. Even though it's really nice imagery, it is just a duplication.
Quite like that bit.
Yeah, this bit's nice.
I do like this. It's a sort of a breakdown of the shoe. Was it Allbirds? They used to do a similar thing where they sort of constructed the shoe as you scroll down the page. That's quite similar.
It's nice. Right, cart. Moving along before Matt gets aggy.
Add to cart.
What have we got here then?
We noticed a few things on this, didn't we, Leanne?
We did, yeah. So one of them was the free delivery section. It's not indicated within the mini cart. It is obviously within the incentive banner on the overall of the site, but it's not within the mini cart. And so it would be nice to have this feature, especially if there is threshold they have to cross before they can get this.
Yeah. So at the moment, it's not clear about delivery at this point. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just not a lot of information, if any, around it at all.
Might be nice to have some upsells here. So like accessories. I don't know if they do socks or laces or whatever, like is a cheaper, because you wouldn't want to upsell another pair of boots because they're already spending £180 there.
I think they've got boot care products and stuff. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Once you spent £180 on a pair of boots, you want to make sure that they're going to last you. So I just have that as like perhaps a carousel or stack list of a few upsell products. To increase average order value. Well, that is the main point, but it's also quite handy for the user anyway, just to kind of know that they do the additional supplementary products.
Yeah. And again, just jumping on the back of what you said there about the price, obviously with them being 180, that is quite a lot for a pair of boots. It would be nice to maybe see some sort of payment icons there. Again, this just comes across as a trust element to users so they know exactly what they're getting.
I think we also said that it's not necessary to have both subtotal and grand total. Like that's kind of the same thing. Like, well, yeah. Actually, no. You know what it is?
That would change if you had a second product, presumably.
I'll add a second product.
No, surely it would change if you're... Oh, yeah. I know, it's the same. What it is, it's if you don't reach the delivery threshold. Subtotal is the cost of the price. Total is the total cost for that including delivery. But because it's free, in this instance, you know what I mean? That's what the grand total's for. It would include the delivery if it's less than £50. I think the last thing, just on the product cards themselves... they do it well on the PDP, but the quantity indicator on the side cart, the arrows, we'd normally see plus and minus, so that's just a little picky little thing. Don't think you really need edit product. That's just to edit, I think, the size. I wouldn't bother with that.
What happens if you click it?
Takes you to the PDP.
It just takes you to the PDP.
I wouldn't bother with that. We don't normally see it.
We don't, but just say this was an important feature that they benefit from potentially if they do have a lot of users wanting to change it. They could look at a different styling, so it again doesn't take them from the mini cart because we don't want to take them from their journey, essentially.
Yeah, and that's what that button's doing, and it takes up a lot of prominence. I think the final thing is that back arrow next to continue shopping. We'd normally just use a cross because you're not going back a page, you're actually just closing it away.
Anything else that you'd like to add before we wrap it up? How would you assess in a couple of sentences the Blundstone site? What do you think? What's good? What's bad? What's fixable?
What's good is the UX. I think it's pretty good. What's bad?
It's a bit of a harsh word, isn't it? It's not bad,
Yeah.
but what do you think that the main thing could be improved here?
I think the main thing is the UI, especially when it comes to mobile. It doesn't feel like they've done a mobile approach. It feels like this focused on desktop, and then they've just allowed mobile to sort of follow suit.
Perhaps if you were to take this on as a going success client rather than a project, you could address the quick wins, so it would be just fixing things on mobile. But honestly, I really just think they deserve to have a website that they're proud of, like something where they go, how amazing this looks, like we've got amazing products. I think the website can just do better at reflecting their brand. And I think, to me, plus, I don't know if you agree, Leanne, but I think that's the main thing. There's just so much that could be done, so much creative input.
Definitely, because they've got the assets. The photography's great. The product shots are great.
It's just combining it all together. What do you think, Matt?
I don't just want to repeat what you said, April, there, but I think you're right. Perhaps it looks kind of ordinary, the site, and it could be given more of a premium feel, I suppose. It could just better showcase the products, I think, to kind of reflect the quality of... I owned any Blundstone boots, but they look quality. I just feel like the website could perhaps reflect that better as well.
Yeah,
Great.
definitely.
Yeah. All right, great. Well, thank you both. There's loads of stuff that you pulled out there. It was a bit of a longer episode today, but thank you for taking the time to go through that. If you're watching this and you're a brand and you'd like your website to be critiqued by the team, get in touch with us at Radiant through our website, and we will gladly tear it to bits. No, assess it, critique it, and give positive feedback. Yeah, so thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.